So I think we're on YouTube right this second and connecting to Twitch. Okay, and now we're on Twitch. Great. Good evening if you're watching. Dan here, going to play some games from the Elder Times, specifically Stronghold tonight. So if you're watching, I'm going to kick back on the end of my work week here and play one of my favorite games, actually. So, DOS game. So, I'm going to load this up with the command line here using the DOSBox facility. And this game, it's kind of common for the time, has an introductory advertising demo, actually. And at the time, it was pretty common for these games to have a boot up demo that you'd actually just leave playing on a loop in a computer store or a game store or something like that. So I'm just going to let that play and watch that and then actually get on the game right after that. Okay, so I'm realizing that I don't think you're getting the audio, actually. So how do why is the audio not going to the broadcast? Hey, Drago Siegfried. Glad you could join us. How are you tonight? As I try to debug where the audio is not getting onto the stream, I don't think. That's embarrassing. That's output. One of our patrons is like a huge Gundam fan. I actually haven't watched Gundam myself, but one of our patrons on the channel was saying that's one of his favorite properties and I should watch it. I thought this was working the other day. Right, so my desktop audio is clearly active. What is the deal? I'm going to switch my scene here just for a second. I'll be right back. See if that helps. Drago, that's not, you're not hearing any music on the stream right now, are you? For some reason, my desktop audio that was working earlier today is not working right now. Why is that? try this. This. Oh, there we go. Okay, all right. You heard that, right? Pretty sure that was audible. Okay, so I wonder what was that? That was not the best way to start a stream. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for checking on that. Okay, so let me, I'm going to get out of the game here and boot the, so I can boot the demo up again, actually. So I'll do this. And I'll just pretend that we're starting again. So here comes a couple-minute demo. Again, this would be like an ad that they'd have running in a computer store in the early 90s. This is what we should see. Neat. Yeah. All right. So that's, like I say, that's a demo in a lot of games in the, like around 1990, early 90s would have a demo like that, just running on a constant loop if they could convince people in a store to run that. So let's see. And I was kind of, tell me if the sound is like too much or too little. I was kind of adjusting it downward as that was playing there. So one thing you're going to see on the stream is that, as a longtime D&D player myself, I'm kind of obsessed with what was traditionally the D&D end game of building a castle and building a kingdom. And that was a subject that was, mentioned but left pretty loose. There usually weren't really hard rules for actually managing it. The DM was kind of on their own to actually make that happen. So I've always, like a lot of us, including me, have kind of been obsessed about what kinds of rule structures would actually support the end game kingdom stuff, and this is one of the games that I was really eager to try when it came out. Let's see here. So this will be one game. There'll probably be games after Stronghold that I play on the stream here. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess I should just get into it, right? Okay, so I'm going to make a new game here. So I get the mouse on the screen. Yeah, I think I have a game that I was playing earlier. I'm going to ditch that. Okay, at the time, I don't know how much of this stuff is obvious and everybody knows, but the way they copy protect these things is they'd have you look up a particular passage in the physical manual. So I got my facsimile here of the Stronghold manual, and I have to turn to page 15. It's going to be over here. 13, 15. Line number 2 starts with Sage. Okay, so that's what I have to do to convince it that I actually bought the game at some point in the distant past. And now they have a couple of pre-made world geographies that you can pick from, and the first one actually has a city that's half made already. But I always prefer to go random, so I get a fresh world that I've never seen before, and kind of learn how to deal with that for the first time. So I'll click random. And now I have to pick the hostility level for the enemy monsters in the world. And basically this is your difficulty level. So picking from peaceful, aggressive, hostile are basically easy, medium, and hard modes. And I think that controls the number of monster encampments on the board, how intelligent they are, because apparently intelligent monsters are harder to beat. Let me see this. So how many monsters, how intelligent they are, how many come in a second wave after you think you've already won the game. And then I guess the harder you pick it, the less gold you start with, and the less gold storage you have, and the higher your popularity levels have to be in order to get promoted. Okay, so I'm going to pick the middle one here. I'm going to pick aggressive. I don't need to make this too hard, I guess, and I don't want so many enemies that we all get bored by that. So I'll pick kind of the medium level on that. And it's generating a game world. Okay, so it says new world complete here. And now I am ready to begin play. Let's go see what our world looks like here. All right, so so here I am looking at, I guess they're just showing me a fairly big river system on this thing. Boy, this seems loud to me. Maybe I'm getting the audio twice. Is that what's happening? Yeah, right. Okay, this is a good point. Thank you, Drew. You know, there was a better known series, right, called Stronghold that came out around 2000 or so, and yeah, this is a game that was made in 1993. It is D&D branded, and it's the one that I was playing in the early 90s. So yeah. Don't be confused. This is not part of the later Stronghold series. It's kind of funny how they can reuse the same name like that. But when I was doing a web search for this a little while ago, I was having actually trouble because I was always getting the newer series. So let me take kind of an overview of what my world looks like. Right. All right, so I have kind of a large-scale view of the world that they made for me, and it seems like there's a lot of water in this one. So there's a crap ton of like little lakes and rivers and so forth up there. Wow, that is unusual. And then you have some mountainous areas down here on the south, obviously. Yeah, okay, interesting. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pick a location somewhere in this world to set my initial stronghold, obviously. So I get a starter keep is what happens. And it needs to be kind of defensible. So I don't think I want it near the top. I I want a place that I can grow a little bit before I run into enemies. Maybe this spot on the far bottom here. So I'll have some, and I'm looking at the kind of the little thing up here. So this has some plains areas. That's pretty good. Has some forests. And then there'll be some mountains. You notice that if you look here, these areas that have rocks, those are things you can mine, possibly have mines in them. And then, all right. Is that good? I guess that's pretty good. The only problem here is if I pick the far corner, then it's going to have to, it's going to be harder to reach enemies if they're elsewhere on the board. But I think that's what I'm going to do here. Yeah, good. So Drago, you're asking, how about an island? Do you see an island here? I actually. So what you're going to see is I'm going to expand really rapidly. Like, I think for each level of promotion, I need like to fill in 25 city blocks. So I'm going to start expanding pretty rapidly, and probably tonight, I bet I could possibly fill in this whole bottom right area. I don't want to constrain myself too much because by the end of the game, I might possibly fill in a quarter of the whole map here. So I feel like the bottom right is going to give me a little bit of room for expansion before I run into anybody horrible. And pick a place kind of in the plains, kind of in the middle of this. Yeah, like right here. This looks good. Maybe be pretty on the water. Can I do it here? I'll just do it here just because it'll be pretty looking at the water. So, so I'm going to start my beginning Baron or Baroness. And I will say, like in the past, I've caught myself by putting myself in too constrained an area and not realizing how fast I was going to expand. So the first thing is I create a Baron or Baroness. And your leader character has the full D&D style ability scores here. And all of their apparently all of their followers, all of their soldiers, all have the exact same ability profile. So it's going to be kind of important that I have reasonable ability scores. And traditional D&D, you would just roll 3d6 right down the line for all these scores, and you were just stuck with that. So that's what they've done for me here, except that they don't want you to be stuck with terrible scores. So there is a re-roll button, and if I wanted to, I could just sit here and re-roll it forever until I was happy, like some of us did when we were kids. I mean, I didn't do that, but many of us did. So let me see. I got pretty good intelligence. I got really high dexterity. I mean, arguably, this could be, and of course, you can see I'm going to pick one of the classic classes. So my leader, my Baron here can be a fighter, mage, cleric, thief, dwarf, elf, or halfling. Those were all the types within the first year of D&D being created. So arguably that could be a thief, but a thief is really not my favorite thing to actually run a kingdom with. So I think I'm going to make this a mage, actually. Pretty good intelligence, pretty good dexterity to not get hit. So I'm going to make this a mage. And that'll be my leader of my whole kingdom. I don't think that's a terrible mistake. All right. You may raise a primary ability by trading 2 points of another ability. Select an ability to increase. And so that was the first couple editions of D&D had that as an option. I tend not to actually do that. I just go with whatever I rolled. I could possibly increase my intelligence if I wanted to. But yeah, I'll just run with what I rolled. That's fine. And now here's a really important decision I have to make about whether my character is one of the 3 original alignments: lawful, neutral, chaotic. And I wish that this screen kind of highlighted how incredibly important this choice is, because this is going to determine the win state for the game. If I pick lawful, then my goal is just to build out my city and get promoted up through the 9 levels, and that's how I win the game. If I pick chaotic, that's not my goal. My goal is to destroy every other creature on the map. All the monsters, all the creatures have to all be destroyed. And then if I pick neutral, you would think that it's going to be half and half, but it's not. If I pick neutral, I have to do both. So neutral means I have to build out my city, get through all the promotion levels, and destroy all the enemies. So I don't know if you guys have an opinion about which one you want to see here. And we're not going to finish this tonight. This is a fairly slow game, and it's going to take probably multiple weeks of me playing to actually get through this and win. But I don't know if you guys have an opinion about which direction you want to see me go in. Probably the single most important decision I make, even beyond what class I pick. Okay, so great. So BattleBat's saying lawful, Drago's saying lawful. Great, I like it. That tends to be, my default choice actually. So I agree with you. Let's go with lawful, and our primary goal here is to make a city. It is possible to win the game without doing any fighting if you're lawful. I don't know if I'm actually going to luck into that. I'm going to have to keep expanding, and I might butt up against a monster encampment. But it is actually possible to win the whole game and not actually do fighting. Let's see if I can possibly do that. So a lawful leader must achieve the rank of emperor, which again is, I think, the 9th level of royalty in classic D&D. So that's what they're telling me. Yeah, let's try that. Male or female? Okay, so I'm gonna go male here and select the character's name. I'm gonna pull up a random name program here that I should have had up before now. Okay, how about? Okay, so I pulled up. You know what? I pulled up a random name table, and this is incredibly funny because like the first thing that popped up was Helga, which was the scrambled up name of one of my longest running D&D characters actually. So you know what? I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to make the character. I guess I can't make him female at this point. Okay, so so the character's actual name is Helga. Helgar, so I'm gonna call him that. So it's gonna be Baron Helgar. Do that. And placing him on that spot that I picked there. Okay, this location is unsuitable for a main stronghold. Strongholds cannot be placed on rivers. So I was placing that too close to the water there. I guess I have to back off a space, like right here. Yeah. Okay, sweet. We can look at that later. Let's go look at the actual starting stronghold. So things take a while to build. So I got some construction workers here, and they have these sheets up while they're building my stronghold. So they're going to be working for a while, and you can see that there's some people wandering around, and those are my initial mage flunkies. So anytime I want, I can put an eyeball over it and go see what they're about. Right, hit that castle there. Okay. So that unit is just one single mage, or depending on your edition, you'd call that magic user or wizard nowadays. So I've got one single mage, they're loyal to me, they're currently first level, they can level up later on. They're going to share my alignment. You can see it's tracking experience there. Just a couple hit points like you have for mage characters. And their comment currently is, there are people sleeping on the streets at night. For want of places to live, my lord, we need to build more houses as soon as possible. Okay, so that's probably about my first goal there, is to start building some houses. Now, if I go up a box... So I have this other wizard unit that has just kind of wandered away from the stronghold, looking to find a place to build, actually. And if I go look at them, they're probably going to mostly say the same thing. You see there's 3 different status buttons at the bottom. This one's locked down at home, so they've automatically picked this location as their home. I can change that, but probably good enough. Good enough place. So let's see if I can. I think that's a river location. So let's see if I can build some houses right next to the river here. So little dig icon there is saying, yeah, you can place a thing. Could make a farmland plot for food and income. That's pretty common. But what they're complaining about is housing. So I'm going to place a magician's room. Provides more housing, costs 10 gold pieces. That's not too bad. Place that right there. And every space that I'm looking at has 4 blocks for building. So that's 1. And ideally, I should be able to make 4 more houses here. Just go ahead and do that. That's happening. That's happening. And I think this place over here, that's where the river is running, so it won't let me do that. Yeah, okay. So that far left location, I can't build in this space. All right, that's fine. So those guys are working on that, and you can see that my other option down here that it's recommending to me is create party member. So in addition to Helgar, my primary leader Baron, I can make 4 other, they call them party members, but they're like 4 co-leaders that are going to have their own followers and buildings and income and all that kind of stuff. So by the end of it, I'm actually going to have to track 5 different people's cities that are being built. And they can be different classes, and all their followers are the same class. So I want to be strategic about what types of classes do I want in my mix of 5 as I place my other party members. I tend to think of this as an oligarchy, really. Oh, okay, so the magician houses just got done, which is nice. Let me go just kind of look at that. So yeah, so the magician room there is owned by Helgar. It's got 10 hit points to it, which might get degraded later. Active party is Helgar. Most of these buildings you can upgrade. There's like 3 levels of upgrades. I'm going to have to get way more money before I possibly do that. And each of these rooms provides housing for 2 people, storage for 10 food, and I can salvage it for 4 gold if I need to do that. Kind of Monopoly style. I definitely don't want to do that. All right, where should I put other characters? Maybe here? Put one here is not bad. Okay. That is, so each of these other leaders, rolls abilities the same way. That is incredibly uninspiring abilities. That one I'm going to re-roll. Okay, that's not bad. So this character's got a 15 dexterity, so I think I'm going to make this the thief leader, is what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not going to modify that. That's okay. The thief leader. I'm actually surprised that I have to pick an alignment for that. Anyway, I'll just make them neutral. That's fine. Let's see here. I'm going to make this thief leader a female and name her Doreen. That's good. So here come my thieves here, and what they're building here is a thief keep, which is kind of a smaller stronghold, which is their starting point. And you can see here that I've got 1 thief character that's come on the board because of that. Just go take a look at that. So 1 thief, again, first level. You can see equipment, AC, stuff like that. Not everyone here agrees what to do with the forest. Some want you to claim these trees and tend them. Others want you to chop them down and build. And that's generally what they say when there's trees around. So you can see there's a tree here. I could claim it and cultivate it, or I could cut it down and build something else. I really need housing at this point, so this particular time I'm going to chop that down. Is that a tree here? That's 1 space over. Okay, so I'll build a thief housing here. Every character class has their own style of housing, and it modifies the expense and how many people live there and how much you can store there for food and gold and stuff like that. One of the nice things about the thief class in this is that they have longer range vision. So by having thieves around on the overland map, I'm going to have longer vision to see what's available in other spaces, and in particular if there's enemy monsters in the vicinity. So that, I kind of like having thieves in my mix of classes. So there's that. Let me adjust my, I think I scrambled my audio settings on my end. So hopefully, okay, is the desktop audio still working? Yeah, okay, you can hear that, great. All right, back to this. Okay, so I got 3 other character classes I can make. All stuff is building. All right, now over here, actually that's outside where I can create anything, isn't it? All right, so over here in the foothills, I think is a good place for a dwarf character. So I'll roll the abilities, and if I get something that's dwarfish, I'll put them here. And then there's a whole lot of woods around here. Elves, no surprise, are the best at cultivating trees. So if I get like a good elf character, I'll probably place them down here. And that's going to leave me one more thing. I don't know what the one more thing is going to be. Okay, let's just roll some abilities and see what we get. That's not cool. I don't want a completely crippled character, so I'm gonna high charisma. I probably should have. Maybe I should have picked that. Maybe I should have picked a high charisma character for my main Baron. But okay, there's another high dexterity, super high dexterity. I'm getting all high dexterity characters here. I guess that could be an elf. Why not? I'm gonna make that an elf. And again, I could modify strength or intelligence. I never do that. Elves tend to be neutral, so I'll pick that. And this will be a male named Oswin. Who it'll be. Now, I do want to pick a place down here where the woods are, like. Let's do it here. And obviously, here's my starting elf unit, first level. What should we do with the forest? With the elves, I'm more prone to actually claim the trees and have them cultivate them. You don't want to do that all the time, but I will do that here. So I'm going to claim this tree. Claim this tree. And you can see that an elf claimed tree, what did it say there, provides 2 food and... No, food for 10 people and 2 gold is I think what it said there. So they're working. More party members. Okay, wisdom 16. That's actually obviously a cleric, right? I tend not to have a whole lot of clerics in my D&D games actually, but I will. I'll do that here. I'll build a cleric. Accept that. Make the cleric lawful, like the main leader, and this will be a female named Birgitta. Where should I put the cleric? It's like down here. I guess it's good enough place as any. Do that. Starting cleric. Notice it's starting with no armor for the clerics. Armor class 9. And they probably need some housing, so chop this down. chop this down. Place a house. All right, now you see the far left block in this space is really steep, right? And if the terrain gets too steep, then you can't build structures on those locations. Fortunately, you can still build farmland. So I will have to change this to farmland, and I can put that there. And obviously, farmland produces food for your people and gold and stuff like that. And I got one more character to build. I think I want a dwarf here is what I want. Yeah, it's a good constitution, but kind of cruddy strength. Again, all the followers all have the exact same ability scores, apparently, so I really want a better dwarf character. Jeez. That's nice, but cruddy strength, which is what I... Jeez, what's happening? Okay, all right. So pretty good strength, pretty good wisdom. Constitution in the middle. Good enough. Let's call that my dwarf character. Accept that and call the dwarf lawful. And this will be a male named Klaus. All right, now what I want is kind of over in the foothills where they can start mining stuff. Nah, this is good. Great. So you can see dwarves actually do start with chainmail. Dwarves don't like trees, so I'm just going to chop down most of the trees the dwarves are controlling. Throw up a house. Throw up some farmland. All right. So at this point, I have my whole party made, right? So I have 5 total characters. That's all the game supports. You can see in the bottom right of the screen here, you've got 5 slots for your 5 leaders, starting with Helgar. And I made one of each different class. So I didn't make any, I didn't have an opportunity to make fighters or halflings. I guess that's it, right? I think that's it. So as I kind of go on with the game more generally now, the game is slow, right? So the game's going to be, it's kind of slow. It's kind of reflective. We get to kind of think about what we're doing. It takes many, many, many hours to get through a whole game. I kind of don't mind that. I find it to be really addictive. Like, warning, I don't even know if I totally recommend the game just because it's so addictive. There's always some next thing to be doing. And so in the past, I have, spent the entire overnight cycle, like 6-8 hours playing and not realize it in the past. So at the moment, I'm gonna, when the batteries run out in my earbuds, I'm gonna end the stream tonight, and that's gonna be my signal to stop playing. Otherwise, I would just play forever. The other thing is it's technically using the D&D basic rules. So in the 80s, there was this line called D&D basic, and among the things that you can detect is that it had a race as class rule. So dwarves were technically their own class, and elves were their own class. And unlike any other edition of D&D where race and class were separate things. So if I look at one of my elf characters, all right, you can see that's a first level elf. And they have some fighting skills and they have some magic use skills, but it's all locked into the class. So that's kind of how you can tell that you're playing basic D&D. Other thing, if you possibly get surprised by it, I got to keep in mind my clerics are starting at first level, and first level clerics don't have any spells. So hypothetically, if I send them into a fight right now, the clerics do not have any healing spells to help with. I got to get them at least second level in traditional D&D rules before they have spells. So I got to keep that in mind. Now, granted that I have some houses here, right? We've produced some additional characters along the way. And you can see that in the overland map, the white dots are the characters. So they've kind of started to spread out. and they found new home bases for themselves, and I should take advantage of that and start making other buildings. So here's a guy, a woman, who's picked this as their home, and before I go on a building spree, I'm going to check in on the Baron stats and see what I need to improve next. So let's take a look at that. So my population's 7, my housing's only 6. So you notice my population's above my housing, so there are homeless people at the moment. I had to fix that. My food production is 10, which is above my population, which is good. My food storage is maxed out. Now, if I build more houses, that'll improve. And my income is currently 0. So I also ought to build at least like some farms to get some income coming in. So some houses and some farms seem to be what I need to do. So how about... I feel like the houses are more important because I currently have homeless people. So chop this down. And I'll just make a bunch more houses. Okay, so that's building. The main stronghold, that's going to take a while to finish. Got some houses here. This person's picked this for their home, but I don't think I can build stuff right on the bank of the river. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So frankly, that was a bad place for them to pick as a home. I need to go change that. So I'll pick the character, pick unassigned, as they're not home. And then I have to tell them to go someplace else, like maybe over here. And here's how I move characters around. And this is possibly like the most baffling interface for moving people around that you've ever seen in a strategy game, is I cannot grab the character and just direct them to a different place. It's the other way around. I have to go to the place and I have to set a flag of I would like a mage to come here now. So I have to pick the mage pyramid, and this little pink bar down here, that's how many of that character you would like to attract. And since I just have one free, I just hit the max bar. And I'm currently attracting one possible mage this location, and they will walk over here in probably a minute or two. There they are. And now I'll go set that character to home here. That's a better place. And I think this is a pretty good place for farmland, so I'll have them direct some farming. Oops. Oh, that's water. Okay, so this spot has enough for 3 farmlands, which is good. So let me just talk about that interface for a little bit, because I feel it's interesting to think about. You know, this game was made, it was released in 1993, right? And that's 1 year, I think, before the original Warcraft strategy game was released. And it was basically the same time that the strategy game Dune 2 was released. Dune 2 was released in Christmas of 92. So I'm pretty sure that Dune 2 and this game were being developed at the same time. And it was, weirdly, before that time, strategy games did not use the click some people and direct them to a place technique. That hadn't been invented yet, amazingly. So this strategy game is still kind of, Stronghold here is still kind of trying to find a reasonable interface. And once Dune 2 was published, everybody used that same interface for all strategy games ever after. And it's kind of funny to think about the, you know, select and click, you know, click and drag. It took a while for that to be invented. It seems super obvious now, but this was being made at the same time that was invented. So that's not built into this game yet. So we have this inverse technique of go to a place, raise a flag, attract people to it. I don't know who exactly is going to show up. It's just some people who don't have a home setting. Could be low level, could be high level. I don't know. And it's kind of funny to think about this big difference that happened in the interface to strategy games right after this was published. It's part of the reason I kind of want to watch like a bunch of older games, is to think about how different were they, like what were some ideas that have been lost over time, and what were some ideas that were freaking terrible and deservedly got ditched. So maybe the interface in Stronghold is one of them. So we've completed our keep here, which is nice. There's my main castle. It's got 30 hit points to it, 30 structure points, I guess I should say. And that provides housing for 25 people and storage for 375 food. Is what that does there. So pretty robust structure. If I get a whole crap load of money later on, I can possibly upgrade it. And let's make sure I'm using the new people that are being developed. So I can see some dwarves get constructed there. There's the dwarf keep. Okay, so dwarf here. Just see how the dwarf leader's doing. So the people are very happy with the dwarf leader. Got plenty of housing, pretty good food production. Probably want more income. Let's see what we can do about the income. So these rocks here are things that are potential mines of different types. So clearly, anytime I see a rock and I have someone in the space to possibly build, I'm going to excavate the rock and hope for a mine. And I think dwarves do the best job at that, so I'm very happy to have my dwarves around here. Excavate the rock. All right, no minerals found there. What about this one? Oh, holy smoke. Okay, so I just discovered gold there, which is really rare and really incredibly fortunate. So I'm actually going to want to be really, there's going to be just an enormous amount of gold coming in to the dwarf leader now for a while. The mines do get tapped out at some point, and I'm going to want to be real smart about investing and making use of that gold and not wasting it. And the other thing I want here are... So these are hills, so I guess I'm going to... And the seasons change to summer. So among the things that happens in Stronghold is it's keeping track of the seasons. They started me in the spring. We just switched to summer. The hourglass on the bottom, that's keeping track of how deep in the season I am, is what that's doing. So the more the sand drops through, the closer I am to the end of the season. I got to be careful about this because the amount of food that gets produced from things like farms and trees varies about as you would expect based on the season. So it's at normal levels in spring, summer. Food production gets boosted in the fall, and then it drops precipitously to like a quarter normal in the winter. It's actually fairly hard to get through the winter. So I want to make sure that I can store up enough food to get through the next winter. And I got to keep a track of like how much time I'm using and where the season is. Yeah, Battleback Cat. There were a number of interesting games at the time produced by SSI. This was an SSI game, as you know. And there were... 1993 was an interesting year for D&D branded games. And if I keep doing this stream, I'll probably run at least 3 other games specifically from 1993. Several of which were made by SSI. And SSI, again, strategy games, so they're fairly in-depth. Let me throw down some farmland here. What else? Okay, so here's another dwarf that's picked this for their home, and there's more rocks here, so I'll excavate them. That one's going to be an iron mine. That's pretty common, right? Brings in some money. That's good. Oh my goodness. I'm winning a lot of the locate mine rolls. Frequently, like 2/3 of the rocks don't have anything at all, and I'm getting super lucky right now. So this bodes well. Throw down some farmland. So the dwarf leader's doing really well, and I think that's why they're producing more characters. So I kind of have to keep up with where these characters are going. Again, they're going to be their home. And not like waste my time and waste what the character's doing. So let's build some more farmland here. Again, dwarves don't like trees, so I'll just chop all these down. All right. The green territory is good for farmland. I'll do that. That's nice. There is other stuff. So you can see there's kind of a big list of different possible buildings I could create, like a lot of these strategy games. That's not a big surprise. I believe that the game has upwards of about 100 different building types. And then, like I say, every building type has 3 different levels. So to really play this proficiently, I kind of have to keep track of about 300 different potential building types. They're not all available right now. I have to get promoted before they all become available. But just for starters, the ones on the first tab are pretty useful. So how about a marketplace? Marketplace adds to crop value from all my farms, and also gives access to a central fund if other people get tight on money. So yeah, I'll place that there. Markets are cool. Okay, so they're all working. Got a dwarf here. Okay, want some more income. So I think I'll make some more farms. Oh, there's a rock. Now, sometimes you can see the rock isn't actually visible here. Sometimes because of the 3D terrain, there'll be something important that's actually occluded right behind a slope. So there's actually a rock just behind that kind of steep slope on the far left. And when I clicked it, I discovered that. So I'll excavate that. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have so much money coming in. Holy gamoly. Now, the mines aren't finished, so once the mines come online, the income for the dwarf character is going to just skyrocket. Yeah, Perkins. We worried about, polygons and game code a lot back then. And, this is before hardware graphic cards were a big thing. Perkins, I don't know if any of you actually worked in computer games at all. I was working in computer games in the late 90s. At Papyrus Racing, and I think up until about 1995 the rendering was all done in software, and along about 1995 they started inventing dedicated graphics cards for the first time, and our game was made compatible with that for the first time, and all of a sudden you could do a lot more. So there was a big shift a couple of years after this game was invented. Totally correct. Okay. All right. I think I have some mages that got produced I need to use here. Is this a good place? I guess I can make farmland. And that's too much water. Not going to let me build it. Now, so this is a little glitch on the game II. They're going to keep producing mages that want a home here on the bank of the river where I can't build anything. So I'm going to have to keep coming back and telling these people to not consider that their home. This is a nice place, though. All right. Let me keep it. So since my Baron is lawful, the way I'm going to win this game is by getting promoted up through the levels of royalty. So let me kind of keep an eye about what my next goal is. All right, people pretty happy with my Baron here. So you see kind of, great, I have enough housing, I have enough food, I need more income. So my current popularity is 58%, and I have 23 city blocks. To get to the next level, I need popularity, which I already have, and I need 50 city blocks. So my next promotion, I should basically go on a building spree right now and build 27 city blocks, then I'll get promoted at that point. Interesting. Yeah, thanks for saying that, Perkins. So you were coding in the 80s. Yep. And things got powerful enough. So like around, right, like 89, 90, right? That was when, Doom came out, like around then. And so there was a lot of attempts at making 3D games at that point. And you were really super constrained with what you were doing. And like the folks at id had to be super, super, super smart to get id running, and I remember seeing a friend running that for the first time and being really amazed at what they accomplished. I was like, wow. And of course now we have all the computing power in the world. So I want buildings, right? Okay, let's make a marketplace and some farmland, because that gives me income. Okay. All right, here's my thief character, spitting out thieves. So unfortunately, and this is what makes the game challenging, is all 5 leaders have separate stacks for their population, their housing, and their food, and their gold, and all that stuff. So I have to try to keep all of them all balanced independently. And there are ways that you can cooperate, but it's not automatically done. So my thief, okay, plenty of housing, okay, food production, no income. So let's build some more farms. Is that rock here? Yeah. Holy smoke. Now, so the thief character just found a gold mine. If I was personally watching this stream, I would think that I was hacking the game, because this is incredibly, incredibly uncommon. Let's throw down some farmland. Chop that tree down. I don't need that. And maybe a marketplace. And you can see I have a whole bunch of thieves. They're kind of wandering around the countryside looking for home bases. I got incredibly lucky. That one's on a sign, right? That one just got produced and is looking for a home base. This one is home there. We're all still first level. I don't know if you caught in the opening demo that the arch nemesis, right, is named Mindark, is a chaotic cleric, and Mindark is 36 level. In basic D&D from the 80s, that was the maximum level. It supported first to 36 level in basic D&D, or Beckme, or some people would say. So somewhere out there, there's an arch villain who's 36 level with a bunch of minions that I'm going to have to defeat at some point. Good question. No, the only coinage they're ever going to talk about here is gold. You're never going to see any even copper or silver. There's no electrum. There's no platinum. So everything just gets turned into gold resources, as you can see here. That's the only coinage that they're counting here. So I think you might see a silver mine. You might see a gold mine, right? I have a couple iron mines that are being built right now. But ultimately, everything just turns into gold in my leader coffers. Good question. Okay, so I keep forgetting what my characters need. More income. Forester's camp. So a forester camp boosts your tree production. Now, since the thief doesn't actually have any trees, that's not going to help me any. I'm gonna throw down another marketplace here. You know, I'm going to claim that tree. I'm going to be nice and claim that tree, actually. And this one. So you can see a tree makes 1 gold of income and feeds 5 people. So it's kind of on brand. I gotta start playing faster. So obviously I like to chat while I'm online. I hope you guys don't mind that. But I gotta start playing faster because I'm building all these characters that are doing nothing. So I kind of have to be more on the ball. How about the cleric? The cleric's nice. So I'm just gonna claim all these trees. Is that a rock? No, it's a tree there. You know, claim that and throw down some farmland. That's where the rock is. Okay, so no minerals found for the cleric there. That's what usually happens. What does the cleric need? Okay, so doing pretty good. Need some income, so I'll throw it on a marketplace. There. There's a rock. Maybe I'll get this. Holy smoke. I've got 3 gold mines going. That's unreal. I'm going to roll over this game. You know, it's weird because I'm going to have a challenge dealing with all the gold, because you notice that there is a limit. You see this vault storage here? There's actually a limit to how much gold you can store in your treasury. So if I hit that limit and the gold's still coming in, it just gets wasted. So for all these characters with these gold mines, I'm going to have to like not screw around and waste all that stuff. Okay, a whole bunch of trees here. I want to make more interesting stuff. All right, so I really can't build, at my first level, I really can't build anything super interesting. How about I build it? I'm going to build a granary to store more food. And, geez, am I out of money? Okay, so I've got under 100 gold, so I guess I can't build anything super interesting. Build more houses. Yeah, chop these down. So that's a spot with a lot of farmland, obviously. Gotta make use of my elves. Gonna claim all these trees. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to have the elf only claim trees, because, you know, you get a little bit of gold, you get a little bit of housing. But if I only do that, I'm going to rapidly not have enough housing for my elf characters, so I can't do that all the time. Right? Right, Battle Batcat, yeah. It's just, I could just do this forever and there's always something else. Now, technically, you know, if things are too busy, I can hit the pause button, but I tend not to do that. All right, this is so steep, I don't think I can actually put houses here, so I'll make farmland. This is also super steep. You know, okay, these trees, since they're on this slope, I probably can't do anything else with these spaces, so I'll claim that. And there's a rock. I think the elf has like a lower chance of actually getting anything under a rock, I think. And you know, it's possible I've actually screwed myself because I haven't built any houses. Yeah, so my elf population is above my housing. That's not good, because I think I got carried away with the trees. So I think I need to fix that. I'm actually gonna. This kind of hurts, but I'm gonna cut down these trees here by the elf keep. So I've got space for houses. I get a little bit of gold for chopping those trees down. 11 gold. All right. Okay, and the whole time I'm doing this, right, all my keeps are expanding and producing more characters, and they're going finding new homes. So if I go to use them, All right, the dwarf. So the dwarf has already gotten so much population that it's outgrown the housing that I built for them. So I got to build more housing. Notice that some of the mines are coming online. So my gold is already at 1/3 of my vault storage. So I'm going to want to use the gold. Need more houses. I could upgrade houses. That's an option. Like right here. Okay, so there comes some more dwarf houses online. All right, so I was just declared Viscount in recognition for city management. So if I go back and check my leader, right, I was trying to get to 50 city blocks, and I'm currently at 65 actually, and my popularity was high enough to get that first promotion. So again, that's level 2 of 9 on my way to Emperor, and every time I go up, I think I need another 50 city blocks and an additional increment of about 3% on popularity, so that gets harder and harder all the time. So my next goal there is to get to 100 city blocks. All right, I'm currently housing constrained. Food is good. Income could be better. So my mage should go build some more houses. Like how about here? No, this is farmland, right? Trying to figure out where that marketplace is. I guess I didn't build anything here. No, that's a... Okay, that's a completed plot that's behind the hill there. Okay, let's not worry about that. So this will be houses. No, that's water. Make a granary here for the mage character. Trying to store more food over the winter. Might as well make some more houses. Here's the lovely spot that I can't build on. So all my mages keep wanting to go to the beach down here and do nothing. So I have to stop them from doing that. This is fresh stuff, right? How about some farmland here? Okay, so I'm going to attract that unassigned mage character over here. So again, I go to this pink bar. And now, usually I get a little report there. So I'm pretty sure that's attacking the one mage character. It'll show up there in a little bit. Here's a thief. All right, need more housing with the thief. So you can see that the majority stuff, at least the start of the game that I build, is like farmland and housing, farmland and housing. Get that. This is good. What does the cleric need? Again, I very rapidly, use up all my housing. So the cleric's got homeless people. This is nice. Okay, food storage has been maxed out for the cleric. So I should make a marketplace and probably a granary to help with that. Yep. Reading Perkins' message here, right? I played a lot of text-based games myself. You know, Zork, stuff like that to begin with. And then, of course, you know, Sierra Online was kind of famous for these half and half games. Is you were interacting with text. You know, obviously you actually write a verb and an object. Go to the stone, you know, walk to the door, hit the monster, stuff like that. And of course, Sierra Online had these mixed 2D graphics with text interface for a while that a lot of us liked. Technically, at one point, I worked for Sierra Online. They bought the company I was working at one point. That was not what I wanted to place. Okay, there's that. There's this. These are claimed, right? Yep. Chop all these down. Probably my elf character is not going to be happy with my chopping down quite so many trees, but... Okay, how about a marketplace and a granary to store more food? One thing I gotta be careful about, I got my my building card here, is that some of the buildings have ongoing expenses on a regular basis. And if I build too many of those things, I wind up with negative income really fast. And I think the granary is one of the things. Yeah, so I'm building these granaries to store food, but they cost 10 gold per period. So I'm going to be paying out 10 gold on a constant basis just to maintain the granaries. So I got to not make too many of those, or at least balance them out with other stuff. Okay, thief. Thief's doing really well. You know, I'm going to make a granary for my thief. Yeah, because I'm about to max out the food storage there, so that's a good move. All right, so I got some extra housing for my elf characters, so I think I need to keep making more. Now, the space on the left here, that's actually swampland. You can't do anything with that at all. So if you were an ideal environmentalist, you would just leave it like that. But our option here is to fill it in. And since I'm playing to win here, I'm gonna fill that in. Right. Need more housing. Okay. Now, obviously, I can keep going on like that, and my season's about to run out. So the summer's about to turn into fall, which will be your last boost of farmland making a lot of food. And then after that, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to take the opportunity here to look at my overland map and see if there's any enemies in sight. If there were enemies in sight, they'd show up as red dots. And I am not seeing any. So far, so good. Probably if I posted a character up on top of the mountains, that would improve my visibility. So maybe if I was super... There we go. Oh. Cool. Okay, so now I'm on level 3. They just got promoted to account, and the season just switched to fall. So I want to make sure I've got enough stored food to get through the winter in a little bit. Just going to check my Baron here. So yeah, so I just ticked over 100 city blocks, and I guess I'm doing well enough. It helps that I have 3 gold mines. That really helps make my people very happy, because I can do basically anything I want for them. So that just pinged over, and if I get to 150 city blocks, I'll be at the next level. Once again, the mage has tapped out his housing. Let me see. So now I have to... My housing is tapped out, and I'm in the fall, so I need to make sure I'm storing food, and I wish I had more visibility to be on the lookout for enemies. So if I have a free thief... Here's where my thieves are. Thieves have the best visibility. Is this thief's free, right? Okay, so I'm going to make this person unassigned. And I'm going to attract the thief over to the peak on this mountain. And then that'll give me an opportunity to see better. Like right about here. So I'm attracting 1 of a possible 1 thief unit to this location. So there's that. All right, dwarves. All right, so food storage maxed out. That wasn't, and my gold. See, my gold is maxed out, so I'm actually wasting what's coming out of the gold mine. So I really need to pay out a whole lot of stuff. Granary would be smart. Possibly upgrading the keep, but I don't think I have enough money for that, and I need a whole lot of housing. Okay, so I kind of want to. Oh my goodness, there's more mines. All right, so granary here. Here. Actually, now I kind of want to make expensive stuff now. All right, so I've got a couple levels up. I got some money in the bank here. Now I can start building other stuff. How about a bazaar? What does a bazaar do? Bazaar buys or sells 5 food during a food shortage, or if I have surplus, sell food at a rate of 1 gold piece per unit. Okay, not that I, because I'm currently maxed out of both food and gold, so that's not a great choice. Armory upgrades the armor used by units, with improvements increasing with each upgrade. Distributes to 1 unit per turn. That seems more interesting. Armory costs 400, and it has an upkeep level of 10, so I'm going to have to pay for that on an ongoing basis. That's okay. Plenty of money. This will be a Leatherworks. Going to upgrade these houses. At this point, I'm just looking for something to spend my ridiculous amount of money on. So upgrading dwarf houses costs 200 each. So I'll upgrade all of these. Remember, the original house only costs like 10, I think. So this is like 100 times more expensive. Sorry, this is like 10 times more expensive. What's going on here? Let's throw down a granary. This has to be farmland. Now I have half a mind to build a vault. So vault is for extra gold storage, which is kind of what I need. It's got a little bit of an upkeep cost, but that's okay. It's only 2 per time unit, so I don't mind that. I'm going to build a vault to store more gold, except it takes 2 spaces and I can't build it there. All right. Another marketplace. All right, that's farmland. You see that my mines are now active. That's a gold mine right there. Don't hit salvage, right? If I want to, I can destroy the mine, but don't do that. Those are iron mines there. Okay. You know, as a little side point, Perkins, you know, us at the Wandering DMs, myself and my co-host Paul, have worked on Star Trek games in the past. We actually met while we were working on Star Trek Conquest Online, which was a late 90s online collectible card game. So, so we're pretty, and my partner Paul has worked on other Star Trek games since then as well. So we are fairly well into the Star Trek oeuvre. Looking for a vault, right? There you go. Holy smoke. You know, Klaus has so much money coming in. I'm actually going to upgrade the keep, actually. So I have over 2,000 gold, so I'm actually going to take the opportunity to upgrade the keep, which is not something I always even do in this game. All right, so at least I'm investing the money. Yeah, the elf is housing constrained, so I think I'm going to go upgrade these houses. Boy, my mage income is terrible. I guess he's one of the few ones that don't have a mine. You can see that this is what's normally happening if you don't have a bunch of mines. Is my income might just be 7. What can I do to improve that? That's farmland. Bazaar is good. Yeesh. That's not great. I feel so it's quite possible if we get to the winter season here that my popularity is going to go into the gutter in the winter, so I'm kind of girding myself for that. My other characters are doing much better. All right, so again, the thief has maxed out the food storage and is close to maxing out the vault storage. So use the gold, use the food. Bazaar. I'm going to attract a thief over here. And did my scout get up to the mountain? I guess that's still happening, right? So there's my thief right here. He's making the trek up the mountain. They're going to come on screen in just a second here. So can take a while. I'll come back to them later. If my mage could get a mine, that would be pretty nice. Okay, so bring a mage over there. For my elf, I'm basically waiting for the extra housing to come online so they can produce more elves. Need housing and food storage. So one thing, because I put myself in a corner to begin with, my new units are having a little bit of trouble finding new spaces to call home. So they're kind of moving around already populated spaces, kind of trying to find a home. So I have to take control and attract them to reasonable places, like I just attracted this guy here. Housing and grain storage is what I need. The thief has tapped out the gold storage, so I really need to do something about that. Again, it's always housing and food storage. That's water. I can't do anything there. Right. Okay. Right, because the thief has a gold mine. That's why they've got so much money coming in. All right, so I'm going to use that opportunity to upgrade their houses. Thief houses are super cheap. They're not great houses, so I can upgrade these pretty inexpensively. I think that's a good choice. This isn't in use, right? I'm going to upgrade these. All right, now, so I've got a message here that a mine was exhausted at space 14050. Those are XY coordinates. So I don't know what that was. That might have been a gold mine or an iron mine. That was it. So 14050. Up at the top there in gold, there's the XY coordinate, what I'm looking at, 14050. It's here. Right, so there was a mine right here, and in fact, that was the gold mine, right? So much for that. I'm barely making a dent in that gold. Now, I don't want to get carried away with myself because the thief's income just dropped precipitously where the mine went away. But still, I ought to be using that gold. What does it cost to up? That's a house there, right? Oh, it only costs 600 to upgrade the thief keep? Well, that's no brainer. Do that. Upgrading the keeps give me more storage capacity for stuff, so that's makes sense. I should go check on my scout. Okay, so here's the thief scout that I brought over here. And so if I go to the overland map, quite likely they're gonna give me longer vision because A, they're a thief, and B, they're up on top of a mountain. So I might possibly have like an enemy in sight at this point. All right, so they're over opposite this lake. You see that red dot? That's the first enemy in sight. Let's go see if I can tell what it is. Sometimes it's kind of cryptic. What is that? So that's a unit of 3 whites. The one figure is representing 3 whites, and I'm not super thrilled about seeing that, because if you know regular D&D, a white's fairly, or a barrow white, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, not a great starting undead to run into. I think they have, what, 3 or 4 hit dice? 3 hit dice. And they drain levels. So if I do a whole lot of work to level up my characters and run into the whites, I could possibly... Oh, there goes another mine. I could possibly lose a bunch of levels. And I'm just looking at one group of whites, but that's just going to be the tip of the iceberg, because in the overland map, there's other places that I can't actually see details in. You see here, it switches to overland now. So there's probably a white encampment or cave system somewhere around here that's just spewing out whites, and more over time. So over time, that part of the map's just going to fill up with whites. And at some point, I'm going to have to go get an army and get the horrible whites off the board. But first of all, I just have to get through the winter season. My leader's not, honestly, not doing super great. Okay, I would love to get a mine here. All right, that's going to help. That's going to help my leader. I just saw your message there, Perkins. Yeah. You know, so you say your coding time was brief. I'm not totally dissimilar. I was in coding computer games for about 5 years, I think. Maybe 4 years. That is a very volatile business. My Wandering DM's co-host Paul, that's been his industry all along. So he's made a great career out of it. I went and did other stuff. Okay, so my mage needs everything, right? I need more housing. I don't dare build a granary for my mage because my income level's not high enough for the upkeep. And I only have 126 gold. Okay, I don't have any choice about this. All I can do is housing. Now, you know, I should probably not take time to explain stuff, but here I go. 2 years? You know what? That's enough to know, right, Perkins? That's enough to know whether that job is suitable for you or not. So you notice that I'm keeping characters in the spaces with the buildings, and there's a reason for that, is that if I don't have a character in a space with construction, the construction starts to just degrade on its own. And I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, my mines are all running out. They only last about a single year. Oh, jeez. This is a bad time for my mines to all run out right before I get into the winter. Things are going to get much harder real fast. Anyway, so let me take this mage character. Now you see this mage character now represents 5 mages instead of just 1. That's actually 5 people. They've managed to get enough experience at their 2nd level, so they do level up over time. It would be faster if I had them in fights. So that's good. I'm going to make them unassigned. You know, I'm going to make them ready. If I set somebody to ready, then they are the first to respond when I attract them someplace. So I'm going to attract that mage over here. And if I look at this, you're going to see them wander off screen. These houses here, they're currently 10 structure points out of 10. Taking a little bit of a break. Okay, so, and as soon as they stepped off screen, you can see these houses look a little cruddier, right? And this one's now 8 structure points out of 10. And they're very rapidly just going to degrade and fall into rubble if I let that continue. And just let it do one more step here, maybe. Okay, and then this one gets bad. All right. Anyway, hopefully you get the idea. I don't really want my houses to turn to rubble. But they get looking worse and worse and worse, and they just finally fall apart. So I will summon that mage back into this space. Set them to home. And now I'll go around and repair those houses. Cost 3 gold pieces. So not too bad. So that's why I'm being careful to leave characters locked at home, so that my buildings don't all degrade. Now, if I get attacked by monsters, right, and they wipe out some of the figure units, I might not have enough figures to actually maintain all my buildings, and then I'll be in a real bind about, you know, do I send characters to defend? Do I keep them at home? Do I repair the buildings? And if I do get attacked, it very quickly becomes a cascade of problems. More housing is what we need. Is that too steep? Is that the problem? Yeah, it's too steep. It's thief here. Thief's doing well. Gotta be careful because my income went down recently when we lost the gold mine. Don't spend all that money. Granary, right, the granary has upkeep of 10, so that would pretty much drop my income to 0, even though I wish I had more food storage. So I'm going to avoid that, but what I'll do is I'll build more farmland, and hopefully that gets me through the winter. In the winter, I think I said this before, all your food production drops to 25% normal level. So I guess there are winter crops of some sort, but they're not much. How's my elf doing? Right. This space here, that was where the swamp used to be. So now I can build houses there. I thought I saw a free elf. Isn't there a free elf there? I guess it's this guy. Oh yeah, is there a rock there? Elves are not good at finding mines. Oh, that's enough. Why are you way over here? This elf is traveling quite a ways to find a home. Sorry about that. So this dwarf's decided to live here, and all I can use this space for is farmland because it's so steep. Not great, the farmlands in the hills, but whatever. Jeez. I think I'm wasting gold with the dwarf because this is always tapped out. I even upgraded the keep. Urgh. Right, there used to be mines here, right? I've upgraded all my houses. I guess I can upgrade again, which is pretty expensive. 800 to upgrade to the 3rd level. I think I'm going to do that. I've just got to use this money. I could upgrade my farmland. That is very expensive. It costs 500 to upgrade a plot of farmland. I tend not to do that. I kind of want something really expensive, frankly. A Mason's Hall? What does that do? Increases building construction rate by 10%. Works on 3 buildings at a time. Increases the building construction rate. So I guess that increases the speed. Mason's Hall. That's something only the dwarf can build. So there's some types of buildings that are reserved for certain classes. That has an upkeep cost. Not sure about that. What is a forge? Forge. First level repairs broken weapons. First upgrade makes +1 weapons. Second upgrade makes +2 weapons. Okay, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in going in the direction of having magic weapons. That'd be pretty sweet. Okay, has an upkeep of 10. I'll go for it. All right, so that's a forge. Oh, and I can make inns. All right, so you notice that almost the last building in the list is an inn, and to some extent that's sort of the end game. So an inn costs a crap load of money. What does it cost there? 2,000. So a single inn costs 2,000, but that gives 15 income on a recurrent basis. Pretty big population boost, and so ultimately, if I can build a whole lot of inns, that gives me a steady income and housing stream. So getting to that point is kind of what you want. I wasn't allowed to make that earlier, before I got promoted, but the dwarves got plenty of money, so I will make an inn. Ideally, if I get a bunch of gold mines like late in the game, that's what I want to do. Is I want to build a bunch of inns with it. The fact that I got the gold mines early, before I was at a level that I'm allowed to make inns, that was actually a little bit not super fortunate. So I think that's a vault that just came online. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Now, I know that there's some enemy monsters out in the world. Like those whites are the first thing I've seen. Oh, sweet. All right. So now I'm on Marquee. I'm doing pretty well in this game. Again, a whole bunch of gold mines help. Because I just rolled over 150 city blocks. The next goal will be 200 city blocks. I'm about to roll into the winter here. So I think I'm going to try to get through the winter and complete the year, and then probably call that a night on the stream tonight. Knowing that there's some evil monsters out that way, this spot at the top of the mountain, I tend to like to make a tower. And a tower expands your vision. And so by making a tower at the top of the mountain system, I'm able to get kind of the maximum visibility about where the enemies are. So, like over here would be nice, but that's pretty far away. So, my dwarf character is A, good at building, B, has had a lot of money. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a dwarf character over there. And then once they're over there, probably start a tower being built. Interesting. I guess the elf went all the way around that river system. That's clever. You know, I will claim these trees. They make a little bit of gold. All right. Okay, so my marquee is doing a little bit better now. Making a granary right at the end of the fall is not like I have a half of mine because the food storage is maxed out. I have half of mine to make a granary, but right at the end of the fall is not smart because I'm about to roll in the winter. My food production is going to dive. I'm going to start taking food out of the food storage. I'm not going to get the granary completed before the winter hits. So that's not great. Maybe some more houses up there. Okay, just lost another mine. Yeah, I think I'm going to upgrade a couple houses here. Costs 300 for a mage house. So I can only do 2. Not a terrible investment. Thief's doing great. Okay, elf is got homeless. Oh, yeah, okay. You see, my cleric income is currently negative. I think they had a mine. I think I built like a granary that has upkeep, and the mine went away, and so now my income's actually negative, which is not good. So I got to find some way to get that income up, like maybe more farms, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, winters can be tough to get through. You're right about that, Perkins. We're about to see that. So probably in just a second, this will switch to winter, and if I go check, you're going to see my food is down, my income's negative, and balancing all these issues is just like it like takes all my mental capacity, and there's never enough time for everything. So okay, so I have a whole lot of gold. I should invest that in something that makes money. Whoops. I actually went to the outer menu. Okay, farmland. Can I make a bazaar here? Oh. Bazaar takes 2 spaces, and this place is too steep, right? Okay. All right, so now it's winter, like I was saying, and the land is kind of snowy. In just a second, I'm going to go check how my leaders are doing. Make a bazaar here. All right, let's go check in on how the leaders are doing. Okay, so you see, like with my marquee, the mage, I've got 63 population, but my food production now in the winter is only 36, about half. So every week or whatever, every time unit, I'm going to have to take about 30 food out of the food storage. And in this case, I do think that's enough to get through the winter. Because we just got an iron mine there, I do have like a positive income, so that'll probably get me through the winter, which is good. I don't have much gold for the leader, but the income's okay. So the Marquis is probably okay. The thief now has negative income because money coming in from the farmland is bad. Again, my food production is only about half my population, so I'm going to be taking it out of the food storage here as time goes by. Probably I'll get through it. Now the elf, right, because I claimed a bunch of trees and a bunch of farmland, and the elf does better at that. The elf actually does have food production still. It's above the population. The other thing is I actually don't have a very high population. I kept not having enough houses for my elves, so I actually don't have many elves, and they're good at cultivating. So the elves are probably the only leader that's actually making enough food to feed their people on an ongoing basis. So they'll be okay. And the cleric's in pretty good shape, right? So I'm going to be taking a little bit out of the food storage. My income's currently negative 15 for a couple factors. It's probably okay for the winter. So that's okay. And the dwarf. All right. So I'm probably okay. I'm going to be yanking food out of my food storage, but I think everybody's got enough. My popularity. Notice that my popularity just dove. Right, it used to be up like around 70%, and now it's like at 41%. So I definitely can't get a promotion until things improve, and I'm probably going to have to get out of the winter, increase my income, increase my food, and make people generally happier. Next trade, food bot. So I since I have the bazaars, right, if I do run out of food, I can buy some more through the bazaar that I built. And that's probably it. Is that dwarf here? Okay, so here's my dwarf character in the place where I wanted to build a tower. Do I have enough money? Yeah. Remember, the dwarf's super rich, so I think I'm going to build a tower here to give myself some defensibility and some vision. Right there. It costs 500. Not too expensive. And as long as I'm here, I got some rocks I can excavate. That's cool. Bazaar takes 2 spaces, right? What does a builder's hall do? Builder's hall. Repairs all damaged buildings for the owner once a year. I guess I'm gonna try to just like not get my buildings damaged, and then I won't need that. I guess that's the direction I'm gonna go in. I guess I just built a house there. Good enough. I'm gonna free up this thief. Oh, my popularity went back up. So I must have had either like the mine just came online, or I completed some housing or something. So my popularity just jumped back up to what I need to get promoted once I hit 200 blocks. So I guess assuming I have money, I can build more stuff. You know, one other thing that I tend not to play with, and maybe I'm a bad player because of this, is that every single space has got this pyramid, or this red pyramid here, that's with 3 sides labeled recruit, train, build. And so you can move the priority of that around, right? You can see these percentages here. So if I want to, actually, I think that just happened. So you notice that I pulled the recruit space really big, which means that you are spending more effort and more energy in getting new characters on the board. If I increased the train space, then they'd be getting experience and leveling up faster. And if I increase the build space, then they complete buildings faster. So if I was smart, all these guys that were building, I would have increased the build capacity. And now that the buildings are done, you know, maybe I should emphasize either recruiting or training. But the truth is, I tend not to play around with that just because it's one more thing to worry about. And then I'm going to forget, and I'm going to not be doing something that I should be doing. And I should... Probably there's a better Stronghold player somewhere that makes better use of that. Okay, so if I want to get... Hypothetically, if I want to get promoted, I just need more buildings, right? Who's got money? Now my mage doesn't have that much money. Let's not worry about that. My thief has wealth but negative income. So I could invest this, right? For the thief. I have a bunch of free thief units wandering around looking for homes. Now, this bar is telling me that I have 6 free thief units, so I just attracted one to this space. They are 2nd level. I guess more food. What would be something interesting and expensive the thief could make? A thieves' den. I don't know what I guess it's a thieves' guild, I guess. I'm not entirely sure what that does. I think that there's probably a type that just increases experience for that class. Has an ongoing upkeep of 4. I'm gonna risk that. I'm gonna make a thieves' den. Yeah, enhances training. Let's go for that. And an inn. I love inns, and I think I have enough money, right? So, is that a good idea? So my thief herself has a little less than 2,000 gold, which is what I need for an inn. Because I built the marketplaces, I have access to a central fund that currently has about 500 gold, so I could build an inn. But my income level is already negative, and I guess at that point I'd be tapping into the fund on an ongoing basis, and that seems like a bad idea to me. So I'm gonna avoid building an inn right now. The gaming hall. I'm kind of looking for stuff that. Okay, gaming hall generates income. That's actually what I want right now. Gaming hall generates 5 income at the base level, so that's actually the kind of thing that I want. I'm going to start making some casinos, apparently. Is this in use? Yes, it is. That's farmland, right? Cleric. What can the cleric do to get more income? I can see I have some elf characters I'm not using right at the moment. And there goes another mine. Oh, Perkins, I'm so glad you saw that episode where we interviewed Janelle Jaquays. That was one of our favorite episodes, and I have been a huge fan of her work. There was, it's not something we have on the stream, but a couple years ago, we had like a weekend game at my friend Paul's place, and I played through Caverns of Thracia, and it was a huge hit, right? Okay, right. It was a huge hit for all of our players, and it kind of hooked my girlfriend on playing D&D. Actually, it was, you know, for an old time dungeon, it was like just really interesting design, and all kinds of interesting stuff happened in it. She's great about, you know, having all kinds of like interesting multi-level type stuff. So there's a whole bunch of ways you can go up and down in different levels and stuff like that. So I was really a big fan, but even before we got to interview her there. So maybe we'll have her on again sometime for Janelle's next project. So I'm currently looking for something to invest in that will make more income for my cleric. I think a scribery. I don't see that on this sheet. Scribery. Yeah, scribery does make income. And I feel like at a higher level, it does some kind of like scroll production, I think. I could be wrong about that. But let's make a scribery for the income. And I think I can, yeah, I have to put farmland here. So maybe a house here. Yeah. That's what's happening with the cleric. The dwarf's in pretty good shape. I should probably use this gold here, since the dwarfs is by far my richest character. Oh, it's really funny if you have a bunch of Judges Guild stuff, but not Caverns of Thracia. That's the one I'm most familiar with myself. Obviously, Dark Tower is super popular too. Yeah. Perkins, did you see the Judges Guild retrospective that they released? I mean, I guess we were talking about that on the show, right? Where we interviewed her. But they made like a big hardcover retrospective of Judges Guild stuff with Janelle and Joseph Goodman, right? Was was critical to that. I just have mines everywhere. Guess I'll make more food. Your home. Gotcha. Yeah, that retrospective came out last year, and they put a lot of effort into that. It's a nice product. You may be interested. So this why is that on that level? So this Sunday we have a regular our regular Sunday afternoon D&D talk show. I've got Greg Svensson on this Sunday. Talking about his Lost Dungeons of Tannisborg. And Greg Svensson was one of the original players with Dave Arneson, and he actually, his claim to fame is that Greg was the only survivor of the first ever dungeon game. So he was on the very first day of the very first ever dungeon play with Dave Arneson, and everybody else died except for Greg. So I'm going to have the only survivor of the first historical dungeon expedition on Sunday. And I'll probably ask him about that. And he made his own dungeon, his own mega complex before D&D was even released. And that was just they lost it for 40 years, and they recently rediscovered it in somebody else's storage box. I'm sure you can sympathize. And they made a really nice hardcover book out of it called Lost Dungeon of Tannisborg that I got a chance to read, and so we'll be talking about that on Sunday. Right? Is that upgraded? Yes, it already is. Your home. I think this place is steep enough. I think I've got to put farmland here. Maybe another inn. Why not? If I can make another inn, why not do that? Then I'll be in good shape. Understood. Yeah, our show is Sunday 1 p.m. Eastern time. And actually, I it's funny you say that, because actually I think Greg does the same thing Sunday morning. So maybe that's after you get back. And obviously we keep it archived, as you know, on YouTube, but it's live, and we have the chat running live, and we usually get to have some viewer questions of the guest, which is always nice. Normally I co-host with my friend Paul. This Sunday I'm going to be co-hosting solo, which is kind of unusual. And obviously this Sunday, fortunately it's before the Super Bowl goes off, so had to kind of keep that in mind too. What does the dwarf need? Bought another inn. Right, this is still pretty steep. Is my tower done? My tower is 60% complete. You know, I kind of want to see that before I get off offline tonight. So I'm gonna unusually I'm gonna put this build proportion to maximum, and hopefully that tower will get done, and then I'll be able to see more of the map. Hopefully. Are you home? Yeah. Oh goodness. That's my 4th gold mine tonight. That's amazing. Wow, even in the winter, I've got like almost 100 income for the dwarf. That's amazing. Awesome. So glad you hung out, Perkins. Hopefully we'll see you another night. Maybe Sunday. Have a good night. Yeah, right. I'm making this look easy. It's usually not this easy, but this is a really good game for me. Do I have a guardhouse? Right, yeah. Putting it in the corner, I think, right, kept me away from the enemy monsters. But if I have to expand, it's going to be harder later on, probably. Look at my dwarf census. I guess I have some 3rd level dwarves at this point. Property. We have an armory. It's being upgraded. I have a forge. Right. Summary 2. I should have a training, right? I should have a training for the dwarf. I think that's the guardhouse, I think. I should totally do that. Yeah. There you go. Mage income is now negative, and my gold's not very high. I guess that probably means I really just shouldn't go around spending money right now with the Baron. Thief's okay. Elf's in great shape. Does my elf have a bazaar? Because if my elf had a bazaar, they could sell the surplus food for money. Do I have a... I do not have a bazaar. The elf should totally build a bazaar. Right here is a good place, I think. Right, provides for food trade. That's exactly what I want. Now the other thing I wouldn't mind with my elf would be a forester's hall, forester's camp, which increases production from all the trees that I've already claimed. So that would kind of be a force multiplier. Great. That's good. Are these claimed? I need more housing. So unfortunately, these trees have to go. Right, this is where a mine used to be. Those are farms that I cannot see. That was a mine. That sound, you can hear that sound is from that forge there, I think is what that is. Leatherworks, right? That's an armory is what that is, right? And again, that having that online is going to increase the armor of my dwarves. When they started, they had chainmail. And now my dwarves are getting equipped with banded armor. So their armor class is improving. So I like that. Farmland. Hey, Disparrow. Right? Yeah, this is a fairly old game. This is Stronghold, D&D Stronghold from 1993. Now, of course, a week ago I was playing a game from 10 years earlier than this. Yeah, actually 13 years older than this, actually. So I was it's funny you say that because I was worried that people were going to critique the fact that I jumped forward 13 years in time. Yeah. Now, so you're talking about those SSI games. Are you possibly thinking Fantasy Empires, maybe? Because there's one called Fantasy Empires, again based on D&D. And I think like once I get done with a game of Stronghold here, I'll probably play a round of that. Because it's even at an abstraction level even higher. I need income, right? Fantasy General? Okay, my bad. Yep. Interesting. Interesting. I guess I'm not familiar with that. I should check that out. I should check that out. So at some point, I'm going to be playing games that I've never played before. I'm going to look totally incompetent. But this D&D Stronghold here, I played quite a bit, and I'm doing remarkably well. I hit like every single rock that I excavated early on turned into a gold mine practically. So I've had 4 gold mines so far in the first year of play, which is completely remarkable. Gonna have my elf character make a toy maker here, which is their income producing building. So that'll help later on. Okay, that's a new elf. So fill in the swamp. This land looks too steep to make anything interesting, so these trees I will claim. I should have an elf here. I should probably just make houses is what I should do. Waiting for an elf character to walk on the map here at the moment. Great. Now I can do stuff. Again, the common mistake I make playing Stronghold is I commonly have the elf do nothing but claim trees, and then you don't have enough income and you don't have enough housing. I'm not even sure what I just made there. So I have to continually tell myself, don't fall in that trap of being overly sentimental about your tree caretaking. Interesting. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying, right? So last week I was playing, right, Dark Tower, which is really a board game that just happened to have a electronic tower. You're right, that was really a board game from 1980. Good point. Can I build any? So you've homed yourself, but I guess I can build stuff there. You know, I'm gonna build a house on that peak right there just because that's so delightful. I want to live there myself. That's a lovely location. I'm probably going to come back and upgrade that house just to make it as nice as possible. Now this, I can't build anything, right? You should not make yourself at home there. All right, so it's about to get out of the winter season, and I think I've successfully gotten through the winter season without everybody starving to death, at least. Largely because all those mines that I got in the first year allowed me to build up stuff and build granaries and stuff like that. And I built this tower here on top of the mountains for visibility. And I got to remember to... Interesting. Did they reset? No, it's the dwarf, right? Oh, see, this is the thing, you know, this is the thing with the building pyramid, is it's so easy to screw up, is I accidentally set it for the cleric character, but there isn't any cleric character here. I should have set it for the dwarf character, which is Klaus. When I set that, it didn't help me at all because it's the dwarf building, not the cleric. That's why that tower took longer than I expected. See, that's really tricky. Anyway, cool. Yeah, I should try Warlords. That is a good suggestion, actually. Thank you for that. So having completed the tower, right, the tower gives me additional sight. So I'm going to jump out to the overland map here, probably right before we switch back to spring, and see if I can see any further and see if I see other monsters in the terrain. All right, so yeah, so the tower is letting me see all the way over here. And that one figure here on the lake, that's whites. And now probably this is the white encampment probably here. Let me zoom in. Because the tower lets me see all the way over here. So that's more whites. 3 of them. Right, and there's more, and there's more. And so you can see the stronghold of the whites there in the distance. I'm gonna move up there and see what's there. So a whole bunch of whites. That right there is a tomb, which is the headquarters for a group of whites. And that's 3 whites, and so is this, and so is this. So just on the board there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's about 27 whites in sight. And at some point, if I want to keep going, if I want to keep expanding, I'm going to have to probably go deal with that. And the longer I take, the more that tomb churns out, and they're going to take over more and more space. Great. And so the snow's melted, and it's back to spring, which is where we started from. Let me just go see if there's any other monsters. Are these all whites? Yeah, that's more whites. What is this? That's more whites. This is probably different. This is probably just the very edge of something else. What is that? Oh, geez, minotaurs. What are they? They're like 5 hit dice in standard D&D. I'm not getting. Apparently, when I hit the aggressive difficulty setting, they did not give me, kobolds or goblins or simple stuff. Apparently, they're kind of throwing a bunch of nasty stuff at me. Anyway, so I did manage to get through the first year. Helped a lot by the bunch of gold mines that I discovered, which is helpful. So probably things aren't going to continue to be quite that easy. I'm probably not going to continue to get gold mines all the time, but I'm doing pretty well. Got through the winter okay. Haven't had any fighting yet in the first year, so I'm gonna wrap up the stream here for tonight. It is about 1:30 in the morning here in New York time. And I'll come back next week and continue this. And probably, I'm guessing next week there's going to be some fighting involved. Probably, maybe not. As a lawful lord, I can win the game by just continually upgrading my city. Oh, I'll take it. I'll take one more promotion before we end the stream tonight. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna save the game just as I become a duke. Not too surprising that I get promoted just as it becomes spring, because my popularity was below the threshold. I think I had enough city blocks. It turns to spring, my income's up, my food's up, everybody becomes happier. Popularity's up above that threshold, and it's not too surprising that I grab a new promotion just as it becomes spring and my popularity goes up. So if you've been watching that, hope that was enjoyable. Again, it's kind of a, you know, it's not a fast-moving game, but there's a lot to think about. So, like I say, it's easy for me to get lost in time and just build my city, on and on. But that's where we'll leave it for now. I'm going to save this game. And again, that's the Helgar game that I was working on. Great. So that's where we'll leave it for night, and we'll come back with my new Duke. I think that's about halfway up the ladder. That's level 4 or 5 out of 9. So we'll come back and see. Maybe next week I can wrap it up, or maybe I'm going to have to play for another 2 nights on that, but we'll see how that works. So thanks so much for watching. Check us out in our regular talk show Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, we've got Greg Svensson, original player with Dave Arneson, the sole survivor of the first ever dungeon game, and we'll be talking about to him on Sunday and his the dungeon that he made before D&D was even published. So join us for that on Sunday, and feel free to get your questions into Greg while we've got him on. And we've got Dan Boggs, who is a D&D archaeologist who worked with Greg to make that product, and I'll look forward to talking to both of them. And if you're back here next Thursday night, I'll see you then. So thanks so much for hanging out, and hope you have a good night, and I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.